With the advent of COVID-19, major powers around the world are scrambling to adjust to a new life of social distancing, lockdowns, and curfew. While people, the ones who believe in science anyway, do their best to protect themselves from the virus, governments are being forced to work around this pandemic. Here's what the effect of the coronavirus has been on legislation and politics around the world. This pandemic has proven to be most untimely for governments who were, until now, preparing for House voting. Senate voting for America was set to be halted after the arrival of the virus before some federal governments announced voting would take place online. House members can send in votes by email or text, while state members can vote via video conferences. This method has become the most preferred method to hold state voting across the country. Spain already had measures to deal with emergencies. As the country was declared to be in a state of alarm, Spain held remote voting with a maximum of 43 people, all following social distancing rules. The EU also held voting over email. It's intriguing to observe how governments adapted to circumstances. It seems like common sense to move things online, but this only demonstrates our dependence on technology and how much it has woven into our lives. Of course, many still don't see this as a good thing. What with technology taking away the human connect and making relationships transactional? But it's important to remember how useful it is in making sure governments function smoothly and fairly. Speaking of relationships, the impact of the pandemic on international relations has been interesting to say the least. Let's start with the US again. USA is suddenly dealing with the attention of its citizens turned away from America's interactions with other countries to the American government's expertise in dealing with situations at home. This isn't ideal for the current government in the White House. With the population largely agreeing on the government's inability to handle the crisis, ongoing atrocities against black people and the consequent protests and lootings have disappointed even the Republicans. A campaign called Republican Voters Against Trump has taken birth, and this goes to show the president's failure to create a good image in his time, hinting at him losing the November presidential elections. Speculators claim that with the US government busy handling matters at home, China and Russia are going to seize a chance to strengthen ties with Africa and the Middle East. How successful they will be is anybody's guess. China, in fact, has been quite busy too, sending shockwaves throughout the economies around the world by banning the dollar in the Chinese stock exchange and making the default trading currency the yen. This power move, at least viewed as such by most economists, might be a large trigger in toppling the USA from its position as a superpower in the world. The pandemic, overall, seems to be making the population stay at home, but making governments around the world work harder than before. It's imperative that authorities in every corner of the world work together to bring down the effects of this plague on the economy and the lives of people in general. After the majority of the population was put under a lockdown, we've had more time to reflect on the state of the world around us. So, what's more imperative is that we continue to observe how people in power behave, not only to educate ourselves, but to point out things that are going wrong.